Hello, everyone. Great to see everybody here this morning. And I'm going to ask everybody as you're coming in to mute yourself so that we can make sure that we can hear Mag when she is able to join us. Believe it or not, she is en route from the West Coast to the East Coast today. So we are so lucky to be able to grab her pretty much right after she lands to talk about remote work and how we can jump into this remote work revolution. And as everybody's coming in, I'd love it if you could all get your chat boxes up so that you can view the chat box. And we're going to ask, because we have 135 people registered to attend today, that when you have questions, that you go ahead and type them into the chat box so that we can be sure to answer them. Let me see here. I love seeing all these wonderful names, some of which I know, and more of which I don't. And I'm so excited to welcome new people here. All right, and as people are coming in, remember to please mute yourself so that we can make sure that we can hear Mag as she is going to give us this great presentation today and answer all of our questions about remote work. We're going to give everybody just a couple more minutes to come in because I just discovered one of the links was faulty. And so I had to resend the email with another link, very last minute. So I'm so glad that that was caught right in time so that everybody can come in and join as intended.
Hi, Laura.
Hi. Hi, Meg. And we're giving everybody a couple of minutes to sign in. There was a small technical glitch that I thankfully caught right in time. So everybody is coming in, but a couple minutes late. So we've got 135 people registered for today's event. And we've got about 20 up so far. And Mag, when did you land? You just got to Florida, right?
Actually, I was supposed to. My flight was canceled because of Corona. Florida is now epicenter. So I have to schedule. So I'm still in San Francisco.
Got it. Well, I guess that makes the time difference a whole lot easier to manage.
It's awesome. Awesome. Yeah. It's all working out.
It does. It all works out. Exactly. Well, we'll give everybody a couple more minutes. I have asked everybody to put themselves on mute. And I'm going to give we have a lot of new people today. So we'll give a quick introduction to Empowering Perspectives and what that is all about. And then we're going to launch right into Pangian and the many wonders that you and Pangian are able to provide to this and the wider community. We'll give everybody just one more minute. And for those of you who have already signed in, if you have questions that you know you want to be sure that Mag answers, please put them into the chat box so that we can be sure to see those and to get those answered while we are all together today. That is the one of many benefits of the live participation, is that you get to ask your questions and make sure that we do the best that we can to move you forward during this great call together. We've also got a lot of people from the United States who registered, but I think because of the time difference, especially on the East Coast, are not going to be able to join. So we've had lots of requests for recording, which is also fantastic. Okay, and we've got some great questions. I know 10 p.m. I'm so sorry. I know. In Florida, East Coast, the whole East Coast, we're doing our best to get everybody, but with literally the whole world spanning time zones, it is impossible to find a time that is going to be good for everyone. So Nariman, thank you so much for joining so late. I am amazed by your dedication. Thank you. Okay, well, let's go ahead and begin. And I expect that people will continue to kind of join in as they are able. And again, the recording is going to be available tomorrow for those of you who aren't able to join live because of time differences. Just as a quick introduction, I am Laura Sheehan. So glad that so many of you could join us today. So many new faces, new people. So exciting because the whole idea here is to come together to be able to share resources and connect so that we can all help each other move forward in our individual career and professional and personal pursuits. So, by way of a little history, Empowering Perspectives was co-founded by me and two other lovely ladies about 3 years ago. And at that time, we were all expats living in Hanoi, realized that we all had left our careers or our jobs to support our family members, whether it was our partners or our kids for one reason or another. And it kind of, not even kind of, had lost our professional identity and our career path. And we're really lamenting that loss. And we realized that there was a way to find a way forward and that it's so much easier to do it together. So wherever you are on your career path, whether it's an entry, a re-entry, a relaunch, you want to take a totally different direction, Empowering Perspectives is here to help you find the connections and the resources that you need to move forward. Because still today, even in this online world, 85% of jobs are filled by word of mouth, personal connection. And it's amazing to me the magic that can happen when we all come together and help each other move forward. And Mag is here to help us do that today in this incredible new world of remote work, which has been going on for a while, but we think of it immediately as freelance work or the gig economy. And especially with COVID, things have really changed to help employers see that remote work is possible, is effective, and can be something done by almost anybody. So as quick background for Mag, and actually before I do the introductions, more people are coming in, which is so lovely. I'm going to remind everybody to stay on mute and to remind everybody too that this session is being recorded. So if you would not like your beautiful image to be projected all over the internet in this recording, please go ahead and turn your video off. Of course, we'd love to see your face if you want to do so, but we wanted to make sure that you were reminded of that before the session officially begins. Okay, so Mag, I'm so thrilled to have you here and to introduce you to our great Empowering Perspectives community. I'm going to remind everybody to please put yourself on mute really fast so that we can make sure that Mag's image is displayed front and center on our recording. Okay, so Mag, of course, is the founder and CEO of Pangian, which is the fastest growing remote work community and job board in the world. Now with more than 100,000 members and 25,000 active job postings, Pangian really is the leader in this remote work revolution. So Mag's career spans over much more than 10 years of global leadership and remote work experience. She has done this herself. She's not just a person who's telling us how to do something. She has been there, she has done it, and she knows exactly how to help us each move forward. She was deployed in complex business and technology strategies with more than $10 million in sales impacted across aerospace, retail, and financial industries, executed on a global scale for Fortune 500 companies, including Honeywell, Aerospace, and Wells Fargo. She is, this is my favorite, a self-professed work-life balance enthusiast. Her biggest passion is to see others reaching their full potential, unrestricted by geographic location. So she has been advocating for the expansion of remote work opportunities so that she can empower talent no matter where they are in the world and in their lives. This is, of course, why she is such a fantastic speaker for this particular community. Mag, I will stop talking. Welcome to you.
Thanks so much, Laura, and for this amazing introduction. I feel like I want to meet myself. It sounds so good. It's not really that good in reality, but I'm so excited to be here and meet you all, especially that I know you are located all over the world. For me, that's magic. As you can see or can hear probably, I speak with an accent. I was originally born in a small town in Poland. And ever since I was 5 years old, all I ever wanted was to connect with people from around the world. That was the dream. And at that time, we didn't have passports, we didn't have money. Nobody in my family traveled or spoke English. Pretty much everyone told me my dream will not be possible, but I never believed it. I've always felt like a global citizen, and I knew that one day, somehow, I will travel the world. And soon after I started traveling through Europe, then immigrated to US, learned my English in US, finished college, got tapped in for top positions. My first position out of college was at Honeywell Aerospace. Within 6 months, I started working remotely from my bedroom in North Carolina, managing global teams on 4 different continents. So all of us on the team started at 50 people, then moved to 200 people, then it moved to training over 2,000 people around the world for Honeywell Aerospace. Everything from that little room in North Carolina. And that's where I knew anything was possible. Anything was possible for anyone in the world, but anything was possible also with remote work. That all of a sudden, us individually, we didn't have to live in those big cities like New York or San Francisco or London. We could have worked anywhere in the world. And for those companies, that became one of the biggest competitive advantages, because all of a sudden in those huge metropolitan areas, they were fighting for talents, and the salaries were increasing constantly because of cost of living. And yet top talent was everywhere in the world. And by expanding our geographic boundaries, by allowing remote work to happen for us, those big companies were capitalizing on innovation through remote talent around the world. So I'm so excited to be here because I know you are from around the world. So this is a dream come true for me. So Laura, I don't know how we have a chat room, and I saw already some questions coming.
Yes.
But there are a few areas that I wanted to cover maybe first, and then we can maybe jump into questions.
Yeah, I think that's perfect, because to have an overview of Pangian and all of the resources that you offer, how people can really capitalize and leverage the Pangian platform. And then let's get into those few questions. And everybody who has now joined the call, please feel free to write more questions into the chat box to make sure that you get the most out of your time in this live session. So whatever questions you have about how you can move forward, this is your opportunity to do that. Mag, go ahead. And if there is a way to preview the Pangian platform, just to give people a taste of that, that would be amazing.
Yes, I can definitely share my screen. So let me just go ahead, see if I can share it here. Give me 1 second and share screen. Okay, I think you have to enable a setting. I'm getting a message that I cannot share my screen. That only host can share the screen. So I know there is a setting. I will let you look for it.
I think I got it. Go ahead and give it another try. Apologies for
that.
That. I'm a one-woman show.
I can do this. I can do this. Awesome. All right. So let me see. Okay, perfect. So we are on Pangian right now on the jobs. So I think I'm going to start here because this is number one reason why I created Pangian to begin with. So when I traveled around the world and I told people I'm working remotely, I found so many amazing, talented people around the world that asked me, Mag, how do you do this? Like, where do you even find those jobs, you know? And is remote meaning freelance? You have to do like a gig economy, jump from projects to projects. And I said, no, I work full time. I have full benefits. I have full salary, but I also have flexibility of working remotely. And I think the biggest question was, how do I find those jobs? And I found that a lot of people were going maybe on regular job boards. the traditional ones. And it was so difficult to navigate it because number one, if you enter search criteria remote or work from home, you will get a lot of jobs that after you open them and after you read it through, it's gonna find out, well, it's not fully remote. It's just maybe part-time remote and then the other time is in the office. Or it's truly a project, or worse yet, it's gonna be some kind of work from home scam or MLM. So I found a lot of people who wanted to work remotely were so confused and it just became so overwhelming. So number one thing I created Pangian for is to bring truly fully remote jobs to the platform. So as you can see, this is our job board and every single job, 100% guarantee is fully remote, meaning you don't have to go to the office. So that's number one. Number two, most of the jobs on Pangian are actually those permanent jobs. The type of benefits depend on the company. So it depends how big the company is and what kind of benefits they offer. But these are permanent jobs pretty much. Once in a while, if a company offers very stable contract, let's say a contract for a year or something like that, will actually include it as well. But for the most part, you are counting on truly committed jobs. So that's number one. Number two, as you can see, there's also this kind of feeling that when it comes to remote work, the only type of jobs you can find is engineering or software development jobs. And that's true. We have a lot of them as well. But as you can see, different categories. We also have a lot of marketing jobs. We also have project management jobs, sales jobs, a lot of support jobs. So everything from customer service to VA and writing jobs. So I think that's one of the biggest things. I feel like all of us coming to remote work feel like we need to find something for ourselves. So these are our main categories, but we also have some niche jobs. For now, because they are not fitting into regular categories, you can find them in the tag all, and just browsing through them and discovering those new jobs. And that kind of brings me, Laura, I know you have a question.
I do.
What's your question?
Oh, thank you. Well, so it's very relevant, and that is if someone isn't finding their particular category of job on there, how will Pangian start to collect the data so that you know that you have reached a critical mass of people who are interested in that other category of jobs, so that Pangian can then start targeting that niche as well?
Fantastic question. If you scroll, I'm gonna keep scrolling. We have so many of those jobs here, but if you scroll on the bottom of Pangian, you're gonna have those big buttons. We specifically put them big so nobody can miss them, but it's I need help or I have a suggestion. Just clicking on that, we have a form when we're taking all the recommendations, suggestions, not only about type of jobs, but really anything, any challenges and opportunities you see that are not covered by Pangian, and we are taking them out by the team. And as we are, as you mentioned, getting that critical mass, we are seeing something as a pattern, then we're putting development time to make sure that we are putting it on a platform.
Great. So it's really helpful then that people actually click on that I have a suggestion box, and Pangian will read it and take that into consideration for future job opportunities.
Yes, we're reviewing all the time.
Well, and you take that data to the companies and say, look, I've got 15 overqualified, amazingly qualified candidates for this position right now. Can we move it remote?
Yes. Well, at this point, we don't even have to do that because with COVID, pretty much everybody went remote. So it's super easier these days.
Awesome.
The second thing that I would recommend doing is our community. So you can see on the top bar, there's a menu called community. I'm going to navigate here. And in the community, you can include your own thread. So for example, by clicking on new topic right here on top, and you can create your own thread. And if there are specific jobs that you're looking for on specific kind of people you want to connect with, create your own thread, start gathering all those enthusiasts of this specific topic. And we are watching this, I'm on this community all the time. My team is there. We are watching what's developing in a community. So when we see specific subjects, we are jumping in as well, see how we can help. So this is a good option. That kind of brings me, based on jobs, going back to jobs here. to overall trends that we are seeing. So especially now with COVID, I mean, pretty much entire world went live remotely, but not just temporarily. So we are seeing a big trend now with companies seeing, wow, we are saving so much money in real estate on all those expensive buildings that we have never really truly used. They are not needed, and they are seeing still huge improvement to productivity for their remote workforce. So we are hearing a lot of messages from CEOs of different companies, both legacy companies and the new startups, that they are creating permanent work from home policies. So we're talking about companies like Barclays, very traditional one. Officially, CEO announced that they are working on a permanent work from home policies. We know Wells Fargo, my former employer, is now fully remote. Companies that have always been already going into remote before COVID, Amazon, Dell, United Healthcare, all those companies are truly versed in that. And of course, a lot of startups and high growth companies like Zapier, Automatic, Doist, all those companies are fully remote. So this is what's happening. And we're seeing more and more positions becoming remote. So again, what we see right now on the screen, everything in digital marketing, obviously, Facebook's, all those marketing initiatives, project management. Why? Because now most of the engineering talent is working remotely. So there's really no purpose for a project manager to be in the office if the entire team is remote. Then we're seeing all the design jobs. Yes, Laura, go ahead.
All right. I have another question that came in from another person. This is also relevant exactly to project management. We have a question from Azi, who asks specifically, Mag, what advice do you have for an expert in project management who wants to truly work remotely, but his clients often call and they want or expect face-to-face time with their staff teams? So how do you coach people on how to make that transition for all these jobs that are now going remote, which were formerly all in person?
I think really lead by example. So what we are doing right now on the Zoom call is really a top-notch way to run a remote project. So getting people on board on that Zoom call, seeing the faces, seeing the interactions. I think the minute people see how easy it is to run a project, and from my perspective, being a program manager for many years at Honeywell Aerospace, it's actually much easier because a lot of stuff that we work on a project, we actually have to see somebody's screen. Somebody's sharing something, right? Either we are sharing the actual project schedule, or we see maybe a prototypes, or we see kind of a roadmap. For that, we are sharing screen. And guess what? When you have a team in the office, we're not gonna hover all of us over one laptop in one cubicle. With Zoom, it's so easy because like this one, I can share my screen and you see exactly what I'm showing. And it's so easy to create that collaboration. So I think number one, really kind of showcasing by example. Another thing I like to do is, and you can do it very quickly with Pangian, look for companies, and you can see on top of Pangian, it says remote companies. Let me see if I have tab open for that. Perfect. We are constantly adding remote companies that are right now or 100% remote or at least partially remote. So as you can see, if I can keep scrolling, it's hundreds of them. And this is just the beginning. We keep adding and adding. And my recommendation is look for the companies that have a lot of project management positions and bring in as an example to your company. Because sometimes if we have not seen that this is possible, it may feel difficult, but when we see those top companies like, look, American Express, Amazon, mention my company, Honeywell Aerospace, for 7 years, fully remote in project management. Seeing those top-notch companies who are already doing it effectively, I think it's the best kind of way to introduce the remote work efficiency to the equation. Yeah, and I think going back to trends. So besides that, as you can see, all those companies are here and we keep adding more and more. And what we are seeing as a trend is literally almost every single job that before would be unheard of to be remote is becoming remote. So one of the biggest developments we see it in healthcare, which is telemedicine, right? So I will tell you, I already don't go to regular doctor. My main provider is online. So how I meet with my doctor right now is through Zoom calls and through their platforms. And that's where I get my prescriptions. That's when I get my evaluation. Now, once in a while, I have to go to the lab to do my blood test. And if something serious, of course, you have to go to the facility. But most of the things are now already integrated remotely. So imagine even medicine. Um, Similar to that, a friend of mine just a few months ago had a surgery, and that surgery was performed remotely from another state because of it was actually a stomach surgery, and what they are doing, they're just inserting now elements in computer mechanism, and the computer programming that is cutting and adjusting everything, and the doctor was from a completely different state. So it's absolutely unbelievable. Yeah. So we're not talking about just standard stuff like project management or writing blog posts or doing social media management. We're going really, really advanced technologies that are happening remotely. So, again, this is not a trend that is going anywhere. It's just going to be increasing. Some time ago, there was a study performed that by 2020, we're going to have over 1.7 billion remote workers in the world. But now with COVID, additional study shows that 98% of people who tried working remotely never want to go back to the office. So this is going to be a huge trend. And for companies to retain the top talent in the world, they'll have to respect that need from the top talent, that they need that flexibility, independence of geographic location. And they're seeing it already. They're also seeing cost savings from real estate and other elements. And it's becoming a huge kind of trend for all of us. All right. So, Laura, any other pressing questions? If not, I can move on to another topic.
I mean, we can save all the questions for later for sure. And I'm sorry to keep interrupting you. I just wanted to make sure that as we hit on those topics that I'm not missing anything. So please continue. Thank you so much.
No worries. I definitely want to make sure that it's super interactive. I don't want to be just talking. So if there's anything, I'm happy and I prefer to answer questions, because really that's the point, right? For us to get more empowered and ready to go take action.
And to realize too that now is the time to jump onto Pangian, because this is just the beginning of this huge wave of remote work opportunities that for so many of us has been lacking for so many years.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, it's definitely the future. I cannot even imagine going to the office. I have not been in the office for a long time, actually. It will be very difficult for me to imagine that. So let me go to the next topic that we had on the agenda, which is really the differences in how we apply for remote jobs versus regular office jobs. And there is a big difference. There's a huge difference. So because when you're applying for a remote job, the employer will most likely never see you in person, then everything starts with that application process and making it as personal as possible. So the typical resumes that we've seen before, just a bunch of text, will not work. Employer, what they want to see already your picture. So including the picture in your resume and really standing out among other candidates. That's the big help. Another thing is video. Video is becoming huge, usually 1 to 3 minute introduction video about your top skills, about results you deliver, really kind of this professional summary. I'm going to show you that's what we are doing at Pangian. So this is my own profile on Pangian, as you can see, and you're going to see how different it is already from LinkedIn or other platforms or even standard resume. So number one thing, as you can see, I already have all my social media. You don't have to have your social media, all of them. Make sure that you are very strategic. But for example, if you are a social media marketer or digital marketer, you probably want to include them because that creates credibility. That means you are on those profiles that you're doing something, employer will want to see that. If you are a writer, a link to some kind of writing portfolio or wherever you're putting your writing content will be very important. Certainly, no matter what you do, LinkedIn profile. Absolutely, because it creates that instant credibility. Again, employer most likely will never see you in person, So they want to see who you are, really how credible you are. The next thing that definitely we recommend is, and that's what we include in Pangian, is location. So where I'm from and where I currently live. Why is this important? Because depending on the type of company, if the company is huge, for example, like Amazon, and they hire around the world, then it doesn't matter where you are and they will hire you, but they may restrict specific position on specific countries. Then there are small companies, small businesses that operate only in specific countries. So they want to see where you are located and how that corresponds. They're going to be also fully remote companies. Those companies don't care where you are at all. As long as you come and deliver best results, that's what matters. So having that information for employers is very important because it allows them to understand where you are in life and is this the right fit between you and the company.
And that was actually a question that was asked by Lucy here in Tokyo, that she notices that there are a lot of jobs coming up as US, and she was worried about navigating the time zones. So really, by putting your location, it'll still go through that filter. And there are still lots of opportunities no matter where you are, but it does then help kind of avoid that time zone conflict from the beginning.
Yeah, exactly. And it helps the employer when they are looking through candidate profiles. But you're right. So, for example, there are, for example, locations like US. Here, for example, is Israel. So fully remote position, but for people who are located in Israel. And those locations either correspond to legal laws that the company has to abide for, or sometimes time zones. And then for some companies, it will be open, again, depending how they are structuring their company. So company, if you are located all over the world and you're moving around, looking for this common tag anywhere will be okay. So when you see anywhere, that means this company it doesn't really care where you are, as long as you deliver the best results, they are open.
One more location related question. This is from Nariman, who is in Florida. For her, it's so late there. I'm sorry. But she had a great question too about salary being location dependent, because for instance, the cost of living in Florida is very different than the cost of living in New York. And if the initial base salary is based on the applicant living in New York, how do you navigate that conversation where potentially the employer would offer a lower salary because you're not living in that higher cost of living location?
Yeah, so it depends on the company. I always recommend doing research on the company. There are some companies that are fully remote, open to candidates around the world, and they pick some kind of average around the world, like a good salary base that is, a good range, and you're gonna always fall into that unless you have some different circumstances. But there are companies, especially those more traditional ones, that are adjusting based on your location. So what's going to happen is, let's say if you are located in Tokyo, then they would look at the salary range for this type of position with that kind of years of experience, and they will place you in that. And then if you're moving around, they're even that as dynamic as, let's say you started position 6 months in Tokyo and then you moved to New York. And if that changes, they will adjust it. Or let's say you move to Ohio and that will drop, and they will look for that. So they will actually pay attention. So they're tracking IP addresses where you're working from, and they will adjust the salary. So research the company and then see how they are placing the salaries, but it could be two different ways.
And is there certain terminology that we would look for in that research that would indicate that the salary would be location dependent?
Google it. Basically, you will see how, if you Google it, there's not full data on every single company yet because it's still kind of emerging patterns and companies are still adjusting. So even companies are navigating this kind of subjects of salaries, right? But just Google it and you're going to see on maybe discussion boards. Usually there's not going to be like an official page to discuss it, but they're going to be discussion boards where employees, maybe former employees or current employees are discussing and they will mention something.
And Nariman mentioned, and I offer the same advice to my clients too, is to triple check on Glassdoor, PayScale, and Salary.com, because between the three of those sites, you should get a good range of salaries. And if you just plug in different locations, I guess that'll be the way, another way too, if Google doesn't yield an immediate search to give a.
Amazing. Yes, that will be fantastic looking at those three sites. But I think in general, if you are kind of coming in, just kind of expect for yourself that it's going to be somewhere in your specific location. So they will kind of look at that salary range in your location.
And sorry to keep talking about location specific questions, but you mentioned too that some of the reasons that companies designate certain locations in their remote work is for either tax or work permitting or visa requirements. How is there a resource for understanding or navigating the tax implications of working for various companies based on where they're located or where you're located?
It will be dependent on the type of employment agreement you have with employer. So I think just waiting for that moment when you're actually talking how the employment is structured, and then going from there. In general, I think if you go to any accountant, like if we, for anyone who is from US, or just go to your tax accountant for your own specific country, in general, the law says that if you spend enough time in your own country, like physically, then you have to pay taxes there. If now just follow those accountant rules, I would say first wait for the type of agreement you get, what the company offers. Again, the best way to research it, Google it. Some of the stuff may not come up, so just really researching the companies, as long as you are comfortable with their products, services, their mission, the type of job, the salary, just waiting for that agreement, see what it is, and then contact the tax accountant.
And important questions to ask, of course, in the interview process too. I'm really glad that you highlighted those things. Thank you.
Yeah. Yes. What else we have on the list? Okay, differences. Going back to differences in application. Okay, so here we started. Then, of course, education is important. But I will tell you from everything that we are seeing, education is taking second or third or fourth place in everything else. It used to be that education, especially Ivy League education, was really prominent and employers were paying a lot of attention. This is reducing drastically over the last 5 years, and especially in remote work. And you can see a big trend from companies like Google and Microsoft officially releasing blog posts talking about it. And the point is there that right now education is so available online that you don't have to go to college for 4 years and study every single subject during 4 years, from biology, chemistry, history, all of those electives that we have to do. But you can just focus directly on the type of skills. So you can take, 1 year course online for digital marketing, or you can go to a coding boot camp for, whatever weeks, and you can really become really good at it. And what employers really care about in remote workspace is that passion for what you're doing, that motivation, constant improvement, because those skills in digital world is changing all the time. We constantly have new processes, new tools that we can use. So they really want somebody with a growth mindset, somebody who is going to be learning and making sure that we are up to date. And then the most important things, results. And you're going to see those results will be so important, not only to bring them to the job, but also showcase them at the entry. So if you look at my profile, for example, just some of the examples, you can see all the results will be in specific numbers. So putting a lot of numbers, scale on what you are working for. So here, for example, I'm showing scale that I work with teams over 800 people at different continents, really mentioning these things. Or here, this is one of the programs that we've done where we reduced the original program completion by 3 months. So not just mentioning, hey, I work on projects, but what kind of results do you deliver on those projects, right? And what is the scale of those projects? That's very important.
I'm going to jump in again, if that's okay.
No, go ahead.
So most of the people that are a part of the Empowering Perspectives community are, and again, just generalizations, women who have left their career to follow their spouse or partner or love of their life to another country, and have therefore left their jobs, or potentially they left their work for childcare for a couple of years. So we've got a couple of questions related to gaps and what feels like a patchwork of experiences that aren't exactly this linear trajectory of career development, but kind of, well, I did this here, I did this here, I did this other thing here. And so the questions that are coming in are related to, again, how to narrate that story and whether or not gaps are an issue when applying for a remote job. And I think in some way that you've already answered that question in that experiences highlighting the fact that we've had these diverse experiences and doing our best to show that we've had impact are the most important things. Is that accurate?
Yes. So two things. Definitely, if you are in a position that you either transitioning from one field to another or you have a gaps, that's not an obstacle in itself. It's just knowing how to navigate that obstacle. And the same way as we talk about that education, that formal education is less important than before because we can get those skills so quickly. The same way, if you have a gap or you're transitioning, for you to kind of catch up with the market is pretty quick. So one thing that I want to maybe highlight with that is going to be very important before we talk about details. So if you go to Pangian on top, there is a menu called resources. This is very important because, let me just go see, here it is. What we have in this specific resources, number one, I have official How to Land a Remote Job Academy. If you are struggling, if you're completely lost, you don't even know how to write this modern resume or cover letter. We're like, how do I even get started targeting those companies? How do I frame my experience? So we call the concept of taking all those, patches of like different type of experiences and putting it as a cohesive package. We call it framing. How do I frame it? Definitely join our academy. We're opening up at the beginning of August. So right now is the open period where you can still sign up and join us. I'm also going to do something, Laura, right after the meeting. I'm going to send you a link because we do have it's a free webinar. It's a 1-hour session with me when I'm going through like a key principles to follow up. And that session is this Wednesday. So I'm going to send you a link so you can send out to everyone on the call and everybody can sign up. Again, it's a free session. I invite you to come in. But part of the resources section, as you keep scrolling down, you're going to see a lot of videos that I've already done as part of our community. So we did like video streaming with different subjects. And there is one, let me see, make sure that I navigate to it. Okay, here, this one specifically, it's how to switch industries and enter industries with no experience. Again, it's a free video, just go through it. This is gonna be like a very kind of quick overview of strategies to use to close some of those gaps immediately and start really creating that cohesive package. And for those of you who are really serious, like ready to go for that remote jobs, you can then continue in our remote work academy. But this is like basically section of a lot of free resources with a lot of topics covered. But just a kind of quick highlight. Again, not an obstacle at all. It's all about really kind of number one, figuring out what is your goal. What is the type of job you're actually going for? Because if you don't figure out that goal, it's gonna be difficult to create a plan. And if you don't have a plan, then it's gonna be difficult to create resume or cover letter and actually apply. So first thing is really figuring out what type of job you're going for. And the minute you figure it out, really then applying some of those strategies here that you have in this video, in this session, and really kind of plugging some of those gaps with either current training, current execution of specific projects. If you are in the type of profession that you can start doing right now, like digital marketing, you can literally create social media accounts and start managing them, putting content, and that's your portfolio. If you are in writing, you can literally start writing online, already creating your portfolio. If you are in professions that maybe you cannot work on your own, like project management, really getting some kind of internships or volunteering opportunities. Right away, there are so many organizations that would love amazing project manager. Just getting that in, starting that, putting that on your resume, and boom, going for those best positions.
Thank you. That is perfect.
Sounds good. All right, what else we have? Going back to, I think, the application. So another thing that we talk about, results, we talk about video. So this is my video, and I'm making sure that it's personable, that talks about your skills, what you are passionate about, specific to your jobs, but also employers pay more attention to your personal stories. So how is your story? It's almost like in a way cover letter, but very personalized. So employers care about your dynamic on the team. They really want people that work for them that is a cultural add or culture fit with the company. So they want people, let's say there are people who believe in travel. So they want people with that kind of open global mindset. Or there may be people who are vegan and they're a vegan brand and they want that kind of mutual synchronization there. So employers pay a lot of attention to personal stories, your hobbies. So we have all the hobbies and values for that evaluation, and they will pay attention to that through the entire application process. And I think that's the key things. I think one of the biggest things that I see candidates feeling a mental block, and I remember it was one for me, is the video. So not only recording video from my own page, but then many times you have to create a customized video. Like literally you're gonna see an application and the application is like, submit your resume, here's your profile. And then can you add 1 minute video about this specific? Sometimes it's about you, an introduction. Sometimes it's basically an answering questions. So instead of typing the answer to the question, they'll ask to see a recording for you. And why do they do that? This is a filter, because one of the things before you even get to interview, one of the things that you're going to be judged on is your ability to work remotely on video, like we're doing right now. So can you come in to a Zoom call like this one, and proxy of that is a recorded video, and feel comfortable and talk to people and establish those relationships and connections? And not only that, can you do that with your personality and with your practice? And from a technical standpoint, are you adept at technical aspects of it, that you can quickly record video, you can quickly come on a Zoom call, you know how to navigate it, how to share the screen, how not to share the screen, stuff like that.
So this is fascinating and not something that I thought about yet, but we're getting comments already. Rebecca said, oh my gosh, I'm so glad I'm not alone. I've not applied for jobs because of the video requirement. So what would be the best way to do it? I mean, for one recent contracting application, they asked me to record an audio of how I might do a coaching session. And the instructions given were to pretend as if I were coaching somebody and to have the pauses and to say, I understand what you're saying. And rephrasing things and things like this. But in a video setting, when you're trying to show that you are adept at Zoom and all these other video platforms and connecting with someone, what is the best way to create that 1 minute video? Do you pretend that you're in a meeting? Do you just give a speech? Do you get instructions, or is it just kind of a carte blanche, show us what you've got kind of?
Yeah, I think it's very personalized, and I think that's what employers are looking for. So first of all, on the video, let me just jump on that, because especially when I heard a comment, oh, I didn't apply for jobs because they require video. This is my biggest advice. You have to understand that making a video is equally difficult for everyone. I mean, I'm on video all the time now with thousands and hundreds and people from around the world, and now it's easy. But you should see me a few years ago. Recording my first video, I literally spent, I think, a week recording 1 minute video. And I would say the best thing to get over it is really practice. So guess what? I would recommend application called Loom. And Laura, I can send you a link to that specific Loom application. Loom, you can install it on your browser, and you can literally, by clicking one button, it's going to record you, or you can record your screen, you choose. But basically, it's so simple and it's free. So you click record, and whatever you feel to stop, click stop, and it just records a video for you. You can download it, you can have a link of it, it's amazing. What's good about it is I recommend practicing let me emphasize, the only way to get over the fear of videos, and the only way to get better at it, is practice, 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 practice. And guess what? It's better to practice when you don't have a pressure that you're applying for the job. You practice in advance without any pressure, and basically set yourself, every day I'm going to record 1-minute video about my career. And you can prep a script. You can just write it down and memorize the script, right? And each time is going to become much more proficient. Each time is going to become much more natural. And that leads me of what employers are really looking for. And to your question, Laura, what employers are really looking for in those videos is two things: confidence and authenticity. So if you are on those videos very rigid because you have never practiced and you are like scared or like, oh my gosh, right? That's not gonna fly. They want to see somebody who is comfortable with it. And again, comfort comes from practice. That's the only way. Somebody who is authentic, who is who they are, who is pleasant to work with, who is confident in their skills and their ability, both on the video and actually working on a virtual team. These are important things. And going back to your question, Laura, in the specific things, I don't have a recommendation of one A, B, C. It's up to you. Because what they want to see is your interpretation of that question, your interpretation of that answer, how you present that story of what you're trying to tell them based on their questions, because they are looking for that cultural fit or add to the company. And the best way I can recommend to decide which one is going to be is, number one, researching the company. Find out, what is this company all about? Are they very formal, or are they not formal? What do they prefer? How do they interact with their customers and their team members? And based on that research, see how you can infuse your personality to be really like a value add to this company in this position.
Which is exactly what you do in the cover letter and the resume and the application too, is tailor it to each company. And I'm wondering, Mag, too, you talked earlier about the different communities that you can set up inside Pangian. Would it be a possibility to establish a community where we could help each other give reviews of our draft videos? Is that something that would be able to be shared in a Pangian community?
You can do it, but that will be then available publicly. So unless you are willing to do it publicly, then I don't recommend.
It's not like a private community. It's a public forum, but only inside Pangian.
Yes, only inside Pangian would be available, but people inside Pangian would see it. So unless you're really not...
that is not the way to do that. Okay.
Then I don't recommend.
Yeah, I was trying to think through, well, gosh, one of the things that I would like would be a
like
way
a private community.
Yes, and for someone to give me comments that wasn't my husband or my friend, or, very, neutral feedback, or not neutral, but unbiased feedback on how I was doing.
So first of all, I'm going to take that idea already to my team and see if there's a way that we can implement it. I think that would be super, super fun. The second thing also, for those of you who will be joining our Pangian Academy, that's because what we do as part of Pangian Academy, not only there is a curriculum that you are following of from every single step, how to target companies, how to customize your resume, how to customize your cover letter, but we actually meet on a monthly basis in Zoom calls. And we go over everything. We look through profiles, we look through resumes and LinkedIn's, and we talk about anything. So basically we do that kind of reviews for each other all the time.
Awesome.
But I'll take your idea on the private communities to our team and see how we can make it happen. Any other questions that I can help with? I think when it comes to then presenting yourself, just being prepped, showing that, from technical perspective, you are ready to go, especially if you already get to the interview phase, make sure that you're ready. Like, have your computer set up, have your video in, have your audio in. There's nothing worse than us as a recruiter, a hiring manager, we're getting on a Zoom call, we're waiting for candidate, and the candidate is 5 minutes late, or comes in and the video is not working, or the microphone is not working, and the candidate is struggling. That's always a sign for us, wow, this is what's happening only on interview. I don't even want to know what's going to happen when we work with this candidate. 100% remotely. So make sure that you are like really prepped, like practice it, get as many Zoom calls like the one Laura is organizing. That's already practice, right? So
Yeah, right. And in fact, we had a session in May that was focused on perfecting your Zoom presence. So making sure that your background is okay, your lighting is okay, your audio is okay, and setting everything up so that you have a professional, you're making the best first impression on video, just like you would in person.
absolutely,
And
absolutely.
Mag, there are a couple other questions that came in. These are more related to employers. Number one, how you screen the employers to make sure that they are offering legitimate and fully remote positions. And number two, for people who are looking for jobs online who are not native English speakers, how is that received by employers? And what advice might you give to those candidates?
So I'm gonna start with the second, not native English, because I'm one. And how do they react? No problem at all. I have never had a problem landing any job whatsoever, from working at Honeywell Aerospace, running multi-million-dollar programs from them, then working at Wells Fargo with my last position at Wells Fargo was Vice President of Strategy and Operations Practices Group, where our group was overseeing operations for 800 people at Wells Fargo. So really, it's not a problem. And most of the companies right now, because of remote space, they are very international. So as a matter of fact, you're gonna entering those remote companies is like being part of United Nations. Just any really country, any kind of any accents you may hear. So not a problem at all. Don't even worry about it. Of course, like in any situation of communication, especially when you're speaking with an accent, make sure that your enunciation is correct, you slow down so you are easily understood. But at the end of the day, it's never about that. It's always about the results you bring for the specific job you hired for. So if you are competent for the job you're applying for, if you have the top skills for it, if you are showing growth mindset, that you are willing to tackle challenges, that's what employers are looking for. So that's number one. And then the first question, what was the first portion of the question, Laura?
The first portion was, how do you screen employers to make sure that when they join the Pangian platform, that they are offering a legitimate opportunity that is fully remote with the full benefits, etc.?
Yes, so for us, pretty much every single job not pretty much, every single job you find on Pangian is already legitimate. You yourself, you don't have to do any research. That's the idea behind Pangian. We do that for you. So we have an entire team that is focused on that. The second thing that you can do, again, if you go here, remote companies on top, if you want to search specifically for companies first and do your research, we have a full list. And again, every single company that made it to the list is a company that we confirmed already is a legitimate company with remote jobs. Sometimes they are fully remote, meaning every single position is remote. Sometimes they are partial. And if they are partial, you're gonna see in their job descriptions, either position is called, let's say, something remote or something in a specific location. So you're gonna see it quickly. For us at Pangian, you don't have to do anything. That's what we are doing for everybody. You can see every single position here at the end is remote guaranteed. That's what we do. That's 100%. You don't have to do it. Companies, you already see the list on Pangian. And other than that, if you find any other company that somehow didn't make it yet to Pangian, first of all, you can join us in augmenting this list. So for example, add a company. So if you found a company, you're like, oh my God, this is amazing. Click on that, add it for us so we can do a research and we can add it as well. And then standard process, Google, outside of that.
So we had one other question related to employers, which is exactly in line with what you're talking about right now. And the question came from Puyan, who asked, how does Pangian help persuade companies who are less courageous to move jobs entirely remote positions? And I know that you, as an advocate for remote work, do a lot of this, talking to companies about how the benefits of going remote. And of course, with COVID, that made it so much easier for you to have those conversations. But what is that process?
Yeah. So for us, we're talking a lot of companies who are actually transitioning right now from the office reach out to us for advice how to transition, for advice how to really tap into that remote talent around the world. It doesn't take much convincing right now because of COVID. It's super easy because it's a requirement, and I think it's so much in the news. But really, that list is really number one convincer. The minute companies see top companies in the space, both startups, high growth, and big companies like Amazon, Dell, United Healthcare, there's really not much more conversation. I mean, literally the entire world is going remote, and it's happening right now. And I think as we progress further, this is gonna be going even further extrapolated because now we have Facebook that went remote. We have Twitter. Not only Twitter went remote, but already their CEO Jack Dorsey, he confirmed that's exactly the future. Stripe, Slack, all of those companies are already admitting they're going remote. They're seeing that all this time they are missing a top performing talent because they were looking in the small talent pools that somehow made it to San Francisco and New York, while everybody else who is like just really top performer in Ohio or South Dakota, on all kinds of different places in the world, are the talent is still there. So companies are really going for it. But really, if you are talking to a company that maybe is not sure, show them this list, and that's gonna do the trick.
That is great advice. And another thing that just popped into my head because I was thinking, it was so impressive to me that you mentioned both in this conversation and one that we previously had that Barclays Bank was going remote. That just blew my mind. And one of the things that I started thinking about with this list of companies and also just about the job application process in general is the advice that we've been giving to traditional job seekers of trying to make a personal connection to the company because you want to have, because 85% of jobs are filled by word of mouth or personal connection. Are there ways through the Pangian platform to make those personal connections or to have those networking sessions where you can informally reach out and ask about the opportunity, ask about the company culture, learn more about how to align yourself as the best fit for that position, etc.?
Great question. So we're just starting program. I think it's going to be rolled out within the next 3 months. That's when we're going to have ongoing virtual sessions with different representatives from different remote companies. And absolutely, this is going to be our ongoing initiatives as part of Pangian. So if you are not part of Pangian, create a profile here. You're going to definitely get an email when the program is rolled out. In the meantime, Pangian community is still the best place. So as you can see, these are just main threads, but when you go to the main threads and just open them up, that's where the action really happens. So when the conversation really happens between different members. And a lot of those members are HR professionals, recruiters from different recruiting companies. And they're connecting with Pangians already on Pangian platforms. So this is the best way to do it today.
That is another great point. So recruiters and the companies seeking those employees are also looking on Pangian and are able to find you through your profile. So it's not just you looking, but you can also be found.
Yes, absolutely. As a matter of fact, if you look at kind of internally behind the scenes, number one way recruiters or HR professionals are finding candidates are basically going through either LinkedIn or communities like Pangian.com, and they're actively looking for those top performing candidates. So they're looking for skill sets, they're looking for the type of communications you have. Again, they're looking for your credibility online because our jobs are online right now. So they'll be checking your profiles, either Pangian, LinkedIn profiles, seeing how you kind of interact online. And they're picking up those specific candidates and messaging them.
And on that note, we had two other questions about more specific industries. One was about whether or not Pangian has opportunities for life coaching or for coaching in general. And then also that Kate noted that most of the remote job opportunities so far that she's seen are for corporate positions, but not so many for nonprofit. Are you seeing that industry is growing at all online?
It's growing. It is not as popular on Pangian yet. We're looking for that critical mass. Right now, our critical mass is really high growth companies, startups, and big corporations. But yeah, nonprofit is growing as well, especially nonprofit being so flexible. We see a lot of opportunities in nonprofit. As we get critical mass, you're going to see more of those opportunities on Pangian. In the meantime, if you're not seeing them, my best advice is to really kind of narrow down to your top list of nonprofits you are interested in and just go directly to that employer, see what they have. We've already seen a lot of nonprofits in eco space coming in. So we had some opportunities here and there. United Nations, that has a lot of those arms that are kind of nonprofit arms, already is producing a lot of jobs, which is amazing opportunity with a great brand name, kind of under that umbrella that's happening. Definitely growing. Not yet critical mass here on Pangian community, but it's coming up slowly. So definitely, like if this is something you are interested in, don't forget, scroll down, put the suggestion, tell us what you are looking for. And as we are getting more of those, we'll be bringing that to the table.
And the same for coaching, or is coaching more of a, because I guess I view, I mean, myself as being a coach, more as that being an individual industry or a, but
freelance, yeah.
yes.
Yeah, so
what are you seeing in terms of coaching on Pangian?
Yeah. We don't see many coaching opportunities. This is definitely much more entrepreneur kind of venture. Most of the coaches we see are coaches who establish their own career. So this is almost like a freelancing opportunity. So if you feel like you want to coach on something, you can start creating your sole proprietorship or LLC or whatever. You're creating more of an entrepreneurial path. We don't see yet a lot of coaching opportunities like for people who actually work for companies. However, we had few for meditation and mindfulness platforms. So we have seen a couple of platforms of like Calm. These are like meditation apps. And we're seeing slowly that they're opening position for coaching specifically in meditation space.
And we just got a comment in from KG saying that her job profile falls under health and wellness, but none of the job searches show any results. Is this because there are yet no companies in those areas specifically for holistic health and distance healing for mental, emotional, and spiritual support? And you answered that right on. And it sounds like it's starting. And especially with companies like Calm, that is a huge and very rapidly growing app and employer possibilities. That's fantastic to know.
Yeah, KG, and I see you on the screen. Hi. So yes, definitely, it's a niche. So if you're not seeing it too much yet, don't be deterred. Like this is coming up, it's happening already. What I would say, if you're not seeing it, number one, put a suggestion. More of those official suggestions we get already in the queue, more likely that's building up the momentum, and we have then resources to put a team on that. In the meantime, start assembling a list of your top, healthcare, medical, meditation companies. Somebody that you are inspired by their service and product. Put your list and start already targeting them directly. Go to their website, see what kind of remote work opportunities they provide, and just go for it.
Great. And we have another question in from M. Kelly asking about the time zone question again. Do most remote job opportunities require that you be flexible with your work hours, or is that something that can be negotiated?
This, I will tell you, 100% depends on the type of job you perform. So if you're performing very kind of individual job, let's say you are a writer, more likely there are no restrictions on time zone, because all you're getting is assignment. I want you to write a blog post or 3 by the end of the week. You can write whatever you want. I just want to make sure that by the end of the week I have them. And usually these are not related to time zone. This is very similar also for potentially engineers, depending what they are working for. However, there are a lot of jobs that are like customer service. You have to have your shift where you're covering customer service from this specific hour to this specific hour, and then 100% you have to obey by the time zone by which employer requested.
So great question to look for in the job application notice or the job vacancy notice, and also to ask during the interview process.
Yes, definitely.
Okay, so 2 more questions specifically about Pangian. One of them is from Azzy, and they are asking, what is offered for pro members? This is such a great lead-in. Azzy, I think you were like reading my mind here. And do you have any additional extras that you are working on for the future? Shukti then asks, are you planning to bring more online education companies or online schools on board since remote education is growing so rapidly? So tell us more about Pangian and the future of Pangian and Pangian Pro.
Yes. So what you will see even right here, there is a specific tag for exclusive jobs for pro members, and this is a membership site that we have. The membership is about $14.99 per month, and it's a majorly discounted if you purchase annual package. I think it's at $99, which comes up to less than $10. And basically, as part of that, we have specific team that is focused on bringing the absolute best jobs to the platform. So as you can see, we're gonna be researching the salary already. So the question you had, what is the salary? We're already researching the company, we're researching the salaries, we're bringing the best jobs to the table so you don't have to do any work. We are verifying every single job here, meaning if somehow employer right away cancels it, right? Like let's say they filled the job, we're replacing it constantly. So you never have a situation that you are clicking, oh, the job kind of disappeared. We are on it every single day. If you are very active in looking for a remote job, this is the place to be. Basically, the team is scouting the entire internet, the best companies, all the salaries, everything that you would normally spend hours and hours researching, we do that for you. So, and we also put a lot of extra jobs on top of regular jobs to make sure that you have full variety, that you have access, that you're not missing out on anything. As part of the pro subscription, you're gonna also have a full access to my jobs. So I'm gonna click on my jobs. That's when we are recommending already matches. So instead of you kind of browsing to the platform or internet, as you fill out your profile, we are grabbing that information from your profile and we're already starting to match to specific job descriptions. So you have the recommended queue, and from recommended, you can start seeing what is the high match for you and start reviewing those jobs first. So instead of you scouting, 100 jobs, opening every single one of them, we're already running initial algorithms to get that process for you faster. And then from then, of course, you can start either, if you like it, you can start saving it to your queue. And then after you decide to apply, you can manage it fully online. So you have a full spectrum, pretty much your own Kanban, your own project managers for all of you project managers. This program also will be rolling out, and this is still coming up. It's going to be an entire community for pros, and that's when we're going to have access to those employers. So as I mentioned, there's going to be overall program that is running out for introduction to companies, but as a pro, you will have direct access for Q&A, for actually connections with those hiring managers on board. So this is all in process, developing as we go, very fast. Everything is happening so fast, but that's the pro subscription. Where we are going in the future is going to be entire training modules. So you've already seen in the resources portion, we've already rolled out the academy. So this is our first step, but we're also creating partnerships with educational companies. And that was the question, are we going to bring? Yes, we're going to bring educational companies on the job board level, so jobs from educational companies, but also we are partnering up with those companies and picking up the best training for remote workers, because like we talked before, the formal education is not as important. Is the up-to-date education, the skill set that we are keep updating and making sure that we are up in the current market. That's what's more important, and that's where we are going with Pangian.
Well, and a related question that just came in was, what about matching jobs with educational experience? So maybe not knowing the title off of another possibility that's coming up in Pangian.
I know, who is that person? Maybe that person needs to join the team with all the ideas.
Yes.
I love the idea. Again, when you have ideas like that, go ahead to the bottom right there for suggestions. We definitely love this pattern, because that's exactly where we're going, a fully customizable experience. My dream for Pangian is, in the future, you never have to look for a job. And by that token, you never have to look for training. What else do I have to do, right, to keep advancing? You really have that customized matching service where we not only match you with a job, but later on we're going to be matching you employer specific directly, making those introductions on part of Pangian. So instead of sitting on a weekend or your evenings, scrolling through jobs, figuring it out, we're going to do the whole thing for you.
Amazing. And you have also been so generous as to offer anyone who is watching this recording or participating in this call with a discount code for Pangian Pro. And that is, I'm going to put it right into the chat box right now, expat15. So you get 15% off your Pangian Pro subscription if you use this code. And if you do the annual membership, so if it's $99 or close to that, minus 15%, so you're getting huge savings off of the monthly subscription. And with so many great resources coming our way in the next couple of months, and with so many more jobs going online and remote, you all are at the leading edge of what Mag has wonderfully dubbed the remote work revolution. And so hopefully this will help. Thank you, Mag, for being so generous as to offer us that great discount.
Absolutely, yes. However you are joining, whether you're joining just creating your profile, definitely recommended. As you can see, profiles are very robust right now. This is what employers are looking for. So definitely just join in for free, join the community, start already interacting, networking, having that profile. Number two, if you're joining as pro, definitely use the coupon. And number three, right after the meeting, I'm gonna send Laura a link. So you can, Laura, you can distribute it. And this Wednesday already, we are having a 1 hour, it's a 1 hour free training session on top 5 mistakes that candidates are doing. I'm gonna be going one by one of all those mistakes that are stopping candidates from landing those remote jobs. We're gonna go cover that already.
Awesome. So you mean, and this Wednesday, you mean July 22nd?
Yes.
Okay. So really short time period. This is perfect. All right. Yeah. Well, and we've come to the top of the hour. We've gone beyond a little bit. I'm so sorry to have expanded the time. Are there any other questions that people have that you want to make sure that you ask Mag while you've got her online in person to make sure that you are moving forward today? And we'll give everybody a couple minutes to type in anything they might have. And if not, Mag, what other last things would you like to make sure that people leave our great conversations with?
I would say if you are on the fence, because I heard that a lot of people on the call, maybe in those transition moments, right, where you gave up maybe your career for a while to support your family, where maybe you have gaps, or maybe you have those patchwork of different experiences, and you are thinking, wow, I will never move forward. How do I go from here to developing a prosperous remote career? I want to tell you, you can. It happens every day. I work with candidates from around the world that make it happen every day, and I see it every day. So I will tell you, don't let any of those small little things stop you. If you have a passion for what you're doing, if you want to work and develop your career, then there's nothing that can stop you. Employers, especially in the remote workspace, they are more and more open and understanding. And what they really care about is that growth mindset, is that willingness to accomplish something, that motivation, that drive. And if you have it, just go for it.
And what a high note to end on. Oh, and one last question. It says, are there ways for people to get in touch with you? Or how, yes, have questions about Pangian, how would they go about answering them? Vandana was asking, do you generally answer professional questions personally in writing? And my question, just to pose for everybody, is there a way for people to get in touch with you after this great session?
Yes. So first of all, if you go to Pangian community, I'm always on the community. So I'm always screening what's going on, and I always jump to some kind of conversation. So if there's something, you have a topic, put it here. allow other Pangians to jump in, and I will jump in probably as well as with everyone else. That's the point of our community, that we can all support each other. And sometimes, remember, I'm right now running this community of over 100,000 people from 121 countries in the world. So it's not as easy to get in touch with me these days, but community is the best place. But if you wanted to connect with me, definitely what I'm going to do also, Laura, I'm going to send this link, and you can actually grab it here, as you can see on the screen. This is my personal profile on Pangian. And guess what? Once you have your own account, you will be able to message me. So on your account, you're going to see a button called message. And all you have to do, just navigate to my profile, click on message, and guess who is going to get? I'm going to get this message directly. And I see my messages every day. I have notification every day. I do correspond with Pangians every day.
All right. So when we become Pangians, I'm already a Pangian. I love it. Then we can have direct access to not only all these great resources, but also potentially to you. And
yes.
Thank you again for your time today, Mag. Everybody, I will send out the recording in case you missed anything, and all the resources that we talked about as soon as we can possibly gather it all together. And I'll look forward to hopefully seeing all of you again next month, the third Tuesday of the month. Details will be forthcoming on that next speaker. Thank you all for joining today. Rosette, I'm going to give you a special shout out. Rosette, who is also on the West Coast right now, introduced me and Mag and has really made all this great magic happen today. So thank you, Rosette, for bringing everybody together. You were really the impetus to have this great resource go out to everybody. So thank you.
Yeah, I want to say thank you as well, because, and this is a great story, especially for all of you who are maybe wondering, oh, I have a career gap, how do I start it? Guess what? Ask Rosette how I started Pangian, because Rosette and I met when all I had was a Facebook group. There was no platform yet. We started with a Facebook group. That's how we connected. And this little Facebook group now grew into this big, big community. So Rosette, thank you so much for connection. You've been there from like day one, and keep introducing me to Laura and everybody else. So big thank you.
You're very welcome, ladies. And it's a wonderful thing that we can all connect one another. Thank you for having me also for tonight or this morning. Thanks, Meg. Thanks, Laura.
You.
Well, on that note, we will wrap it up. We'll get all the resources out. Thank you to all. We really want to encourage each other and lift each other up. If anybody has any questions, if there's any way that I can help any of you move forward, please reach out. This is really an opportunity, and the whole point of the gathering is to make sure that we're all moving forward as best that we can. So yeah, reach out. Thank you again. And I will look forward to seeing you all next month.
Thank you. See you soon.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.